One sheet for you, Jonathan, as well. Thank you, man. See, I'm providing there now. I'm providing for the women. Somewhere my mum's so proud.
Community together. I'm not making sense. My dialogue, presence, and continued role in Toxteth, the respective boundaries of Toxteth over the last 12 years has been something. And as we start to get a truly representative view and presence of the communities as they currently are, intergenerational, multicultural, it's very difficult to engage those decision makers who are supposed to represent our interests. By way of background, many of you know there is a City of Culture. I was asked to come in and look at what that might look like, what it might mean, and how it might engage the wider community. I was also asked to come to DCLP here and present a project that I attempted some years ago, which floundered on political and all the normal things that make things not happen. After the meeting here at DCLP, I realised that there were a number of talents, jewels in the community that were operating in isolation or below the radar. In other words, they were just getting on with it. And I felt that that was good for a certain number of groups, a certain number of cultures, a certain number of boundaries, but it wasn't good for the community of Toxteth. A lot of decisions being made for and on your behalf are being made under the guise of multiculturalism, multi-agency working and consultation. And my own humble experience to date is that is not the case. As a result of that, I believe that social service, community empowerment, and more importantly the skills gap and intergenerational gap that currently exists, could actually see a threat to our civil and social structures. The reason I'm in Liverpool is Liverpool uniquely has a number of the answers that I am not finding in a number of the other cities that I visit on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis within my specific interest of young people. That's what I head up, the Youth Charter, and it is simply based upon an ongoing culture that is seen far too many lost, disaffected, or mentally secure, if not buried. My view is, if we are to achieve what politicians want, by way of political vision, multiculturalism, Britishness, what it means and what it represents, it needs a full and frank, honest discussion, as well as a lot of ideas that are real and tangible to people to whom it matters. Since my visit here in April, I had a number of meetings in my attempt to try and achieve just this. Pulled together around the table of my own background in sport, you find the best people, irrespective of what they look like or where they come from, and see if they can achieve a common aim, a common mission, and a common goal. That has taken a number of different forms. It's meant me having to get back involved with the political process of Liverpool, and I can tell you now that for me is not something I cherish, relish or welcome. However, I can confirm that I had a meeting this morning with the decision makers, and I was surprisingly surprised. I think they've realised that City of Culture is supposed to do a lot more than just the rather more grander aspirations of those who are already beginning to profit from it. The wish to see something more than that is why we're here. I sat at a meeting of the North West Business Leadership Team last year and challenged a number of the captains of industry in the region and decision makers that they at least engage with you and hear from you, your own eyes, your own ears, your own experiences, and your own aspirations and hopes. Liverpool Cathedral is very much seen as one of the biggest landmarks, not only in Liverpool but in the country. I challenged those who run and administrate Cathedral as to what widening participation meant. They, in response, made their space, what they call our space, available for an event on the 26th of September. And I pushed the boundaries a little further by asking political, business and other decision makers to come along, listen to a representation of the communities and young people in particular that I've met, to see what the past, present and future might be within your hopes, your dreams and your aspirations. I can say to you now that it is not something that's welcomed by those who would wish to not roll their sleeves up any more than they have to. In other words, there are lazy people who are paid as a result of the public purse, but I hold nothing against them. But I do know this. An opportunity now exists. There is an audience of 3,000 that can be seated for my own mischievous motivations to see 3,000 of Liverpool citizens, one world, one city, in one cathedral, one space, conveying their past, present and future, intergenerationally, multiculturally, and in a very spiritually potent way, would, in my view, send a message out in this particular day, poignantly. It's 800 years of Liverpool, but I believe that City of Culture next year has to reflect what September the 26th will be about. There are a number of you doing incredible things, and I believe that it can be presented now in a way that will be responded to. As part of that, there need to be some themes. Part of that is attempting to bring the two, what I would call perceived divides, or what I'm continually told about why things don't happen. And all I've done is, whether it's a Stride City youth conference, whether it's a presentation here, or people like Ian make you aware, or and Michelle take you to a wonderful experience where all the asylums that's not been such a threat to our nationhood, and just wanting to learn the language and play a very meaningful and valued role in the community. We have our traditional communities, those that have struggled at a time when there were no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. But we move forward, and the forward is what you want to see happen in your communities, in your lives, in your ambitions. This will not be easy, because the politicians are scared of you citizens of Liverpool, and in particular Toxteth. They feel when they put themselves on the line, you're going to basically either hang them, draw them or quarter them. Many businessmen fear you, but they recognise that you still have a currency that they wish to exploit, and let's be under no illusions. They will exploit it as much as you allow them to. It's what we enter into as a negotiation. We know things like the Tesco, Superstore and Grosvenor Estate is an ambition of some years, and I have spoken to them and they've expressed an interest to engage with you. They are hopefully going to be there in the evening. But I've learned that if you have too many meetings, something happens, invariably nothing. And until you get everyone under one roof, you record it, everyone, after your hopes and dreams being presented, there will be a question and answer session, where those who are in the positions of authority and responsibility will respond. And hopefully, a healthy discussion will take place. I think that's what most people are scared of. What are they likely to encounter? I said they'll survive. So I think a good, healthy democracy is really a challenge. And as a result of that, the objective is now to see if we can bring together those people who will present on that evening the hopes and dreams of their communities and of their city. And I have to say beyond. But as I've said, intergenerationally, with young people as the future, with you as the leading lights, or I consider you leading lights, it's how you make that one common bond that will engage and motivate and inspire those who will attend. The invitations, I think Lynn passed over to you from a Dingle standpoint. But yet again, I was told that the two halves would never meet, so I thought, well, if nothing else today, we've achieved that. If you felt that the idea was mad, the 26th was something you did not wish to engage in, I can report that back as an opportunity missed, if it is your decision. And as a result of that, we will then start to shape what it could look like and meet again to actually put in place what will be shared in that evening. I'm going to shut up now.
What's this event?
It will be for about, no, it's an evening event. It will run between 6 and 9 o'clock. The objective is to have a cultural exhibition. In other words, the cultures of Liverpool just presented by the people of Liverpool, the agencies of Liverpool. I'm not sure if those of you, has anyone been in the cathedral? If you come through, they're already pretty well laid out. And if I could, what I would like you to do as a result of this meeting, in your own time, is just to go and get a feel. I will share with you now that my inspiration for this came from the late Lord Michael Chun, who was a very close confidant of mine. And I went to his memorial. And upon going to his memorial, I realised he'd achieved a lot more than many people realised in those who came to pay their respects. It was a very good multicultural reflection of the city and beyond. And I thought, why couldn't we do this to identify what might happen in the future positively? So it was within that potential and seeing what was there, I felt this was an unused space. The Anglican Church and the building and those within that building would like to engage the wider community, but don't know how to do it. The Liverpool Chamber of Commerce would like to, but don't know how to do it. And and I suggested this was the best way to go about it. So a visit to the cathedral will give you a feel. For those who have stage fright, it is an intimidating place, but I would argue that it is a place in which hopes and dreams can be presented and articulated. The plan would be, if you felt it was something you would wish to represent by way of this city, and I have had other suggestions as to who they might be. That's where it starts becoming interesting, because a bit like a coach, how do you select? Many would argue that only a certain number of cultures present. That's where I have some leeway, because it was my mad idea, so my insanity will drive the faces that make and represent what you're about. But Dingle, I perceived, if we're being honest here, is the white half. Those over the other side of the divider seemed to be the black half. And I thought, if we get those two right, I think we might get somewhere where we want to be. Have I made sense and accurately reflected the past? Don't look away now.
No, I don't think it's Michelle, actually, because Michelle just was going to say something. Yeah, or also, that kind of clarified matters for you. Sorry, that clarified your question for you?
Yes. Yes, that's all mine. That's it. Yes, that is. I think it's important that I take it you're thinking of workshops and then...
Yeah, I mean, if everybody wishes to do this, we would then need to commit, because I go back this afternoon and I put myself on the proverbial cross, and they will certainly nail me and take me to the cleaners if they can.
I'd be a bit worried about the time scale, to be honest.
The time scale was
September, yeah.
September. The time scale, I think, if we were drawn in the ideal scenario, yes, there would be more planning required. There have been a number of meetings, as I've said, they've not addressed it in the way that they should. I've basically taken the executive license when I brought the idea. I'm now taking, we're going to do it, the community will do it. And I'm still convinced when communities get their heads around things happen. Yes, most of the bureaucrats would like to think that it cannot happen, and they've already said it won't happen in the way that I've tried to share with you. That's why after this meeting, I'll be making a phone call and saying that the event, I've already told them it's on. There was a plan B, but there wasn't an option for plan B. You are the community. There are a few who can't be here, who I know will share the vision and present what you're about. But I think it is a case of being able to say to ourselves, are you all comfortable with representing your communities, the vibrance? Certainly what I see as one world, one city on that particular evening. Lynn will tell you that even the invitations that will go out will not go out from the traditional agencies because they don't know who to invite. It will be down to the community. And I think this is part of what I'm trying to share with those who make decisions. They have disconnected and lost their ability to communicate with the community and tap into the potential of the community. So this is simply about communities that are alive, that exist. Many of us have got a story of why things are failing us, but I would simply say to you is, I don't blame them anymore. It's down to us to make the effort, and food's a wonderful reason for being here. I know I've asked many of you to make that commitment, and I think this is a major step in something I was told could not happen.
Can I say something? Apologies from a friend of mine who's on holiday at the moment, and she is DCLP's representative on the group that Jeff is talking about at the cathedral. Ian and I and she went to meet with a couple of the organisers, and we came away cautious. We did come away cautious because we weren't sure whether or not there was sincerity here for a true reflection of the community, all that Jeff has been saying, really. June, who is our rep, has said she can't wait to do it, because for her it's time to show that the people of this city are as sound as a pound, to quote her. And that's years of frustration, of feeling that the real people, the residents of this city, don't get represented. Big events come up, they arrive, they go, but actually have had very little impact on those who live in the city. If anything, maybe drained the people of the city, and people have moved on, other people have moved on. So she is absolutely, I've never seen June quite so committed to anything as she is to this particular event. Because of the way we do things here, she brought her feelings and thoughts back to the management committee, and the management committee are completely utterly behind her on this. We felt, again, to repeat what Jeff has been saying, that it was very important to us that representatives of residents of communities were invited, and that actually the community themselves, residents of the city, who would control ways in which the invitations would go out. It was perfectly obvious, meeting with the organising group, that they weren't going to know how to get into any networks that would properly represent the residents. So we felt it was important that the community invitations went out appropriately to the community, and that time was given to all those who did want to go to this event to come together and actually think through and be quite strategic in how views were presented at the event. That kind of filled things out a little bit.
So the plan is to have another meeting after this so that people are able to plan the events, is that what you're saying?
The plan would be to give you a framework, a themed framework, in which you are able to then come up with the things you want to say, because I have to fit this into an overall running order, for want of a better word.
What is your general run order?
The evening, sorry, generally, off the top of my head, the general running order would be a 6 to 6:30 gathering at the exhibition area of the cathedral. As I've said, there is a wish to have all the cultural cuisines of the city in some way made available by, and that is something the Chamber is taking the responsibility for, and also have an exhibition of images, of writings, of the things that represent individuals and citizens of the community. By about 6:45, everyone will be asked to just simply make a journey of about 50 metres over to what the cathedral will be cut in half, basically. When you go, you'll understand why. And there'll be a platform. The platform will be in the middle of the current congregation seating, and the evening will be hosted, or introduced, by either Dave Best or Heather Stott. They're both BBC presenters and our community infused. They will introduce the evening, and there will be there is some footage of Liverpool's history 800 years on. I've not seen it, but I'm told it's impressive enough to set the context of the evening. The plan is then that we hear from the people who've made up this city intergenerationally, and the scenario is we would have a darkened platform with a spotlight shone on the specific group, and the plan is to have a number of groups, multicultural and diversity reflecting the city, and in an almost human voice box, they would actually interlink their hopes and dreams for the future. It will go from one group to the other, I think there are planned 4 groups for it to be effective. They can raise the issues as well as the currency of discussion that I think will follow the question and answer debate. Once that presentation has taken place by the community, there will be captains of industry, and that will be, for it to be effective, I think it's 15 minutes worth of quality. And by the way, this is humour, it is everything that makes up the city and the community. Whilst those presentations are being made, the creative aspect is to bring the youthful tools of presentation, art, expression. The walls of the cathedral will be used to reflect the images of the communities they're presenting, their hopes, their dreams, within the past, present and future. Once that has happened, there will be a political and business representation sat on the platform, seated on the platform, invited onto the platform, and they will respond to what they've seen, what they've heard, what they've witnessed, and more importantly, what will happen next. Because as I've said, this has happened and been responded to because If City of Culture has not embraced the community, it's been widely accepted it hasn't. What does that mean? And I can honestly say I've heard a lot of community frustration, but equally, what do you want to do about it? What do you want to see happen? What role do you want to play? Because I can tell you now, no one in those offices can do it. It will happen by the community, for the community, and with the community.
So I'm still a bit confused about the actual question that you pose. Is it about capital culture?
No.
Is it about people's...
It's about people talking about their aspirations and dreams.
Dreams.
The city...
capital culture or...
It's using
right.
2008
I see.
City of Culture to then take those dreams into reality.
Right, I see.
26 is just about saying, well, this is where we've come from, this is where we are, but where do we want to go? To go is 2008 for me. The whole world will be Liverpool. How are you going to exploit it for all the right reasons? There are other people exploiting it for all the wrong reasons, it's being said. But how would you see what you want to see happen in the future within the first step of 2008?
You mentioned workshops. Do you see that being sort of towards the end of after the presentation? Some people break down to workshops or what this. I went to the presentation in St George's Hall for the City of Architecture bid 12 years ago, which failed. And the 500 people there, and the City Council officials lost all the names and addresses. That's the organisational level they have. I also went to the launch of the Community Empowerment Network thing down at Crown Plaza Hotel, and there are 450 people there. But there's been 2 more plans, 5-year plans for the city, and it's not met since then, 8 years ago. And I mean, because to persuade, sometimes you have to persuade people that it's not another thing where you just listen a lot and nothing much happens. Because if you rely on us sort of gatekeepers in a positive sense, i.e. that if we commit to something, we'll say, look, it's what we're worth going to. People think something's going to happen, because what people talk about is consultation fatigue. Because what people that I know say is, there aren't something happening about all the consultation. So if there's some positive things come out of it, because we are trying to win some commitments, really, to people that actually make something happen. Because to make things happen in the city is not as easy as it might appear if you look from the outside and you look at the City Council propaganda. Because, you know, in Granby, where our club is, you know, things have gone backwards since Objective 1, you know, 12 years ago. It's not forward, it's poorer than it was 12 years ago. So people are fed up with all this bull about, you know, how it's going to get better. And if you raise a critical voice, sometimes you have to be critical, say, you're always moaning and groaning and running the city down. You're always negative, you're always cynical. But no, actually, it's got worse. All the people show it's got worse. So that dilemma of, you know, putting the positive spark, persuading people to go, and then people believing something will happen at the end of it. You know, that's my fear, and I'm not a cynic. You know, if we could find, if the reason
that's why I've got you here. Yeah.
The unity, we have a new roof already. We wouldn't be fighting for 6 years to get a new roof. You know, something as simple as that after 6 years.
My first response, if you don't mind, Jan. I think one of the major problems that we have to overcome is a perception of residents of this city as being people who are either apathetic or disinterested, or going to let you down, or in it for themselves, a bit fly, you know, can't trust them. Those negative perceptions absolutely permeate so much planning. And the real positive that I could see, and I know that June wants to see, which is why she's so committed and putting so much energy into it, is actually, let's get directly talking to some of the influential people, the people with the money to invest, and actually get them to see that the real people of this city, people who have to live with the consequences of all that you were describing, are actually fantastically talented, energetic and skillful. Somehow it gets filtered the wrong way and it's never perceived. It's about shifting perceptions as a start.
Well, I think making them a reality. There is, and Jan, I've presided over far too much failure to make my time, energies and efforts anything more than. I walk my talk and I'm only as good as my next one. I think at the end of the day what I did discover was that there were lots of events, lots of consultations, lots of commitments, and nothing ever finding the light of day, either within those communities that were consulted or the commitments that should have been delivered. We have a massive impasse now within those who are making decisions for and on our behalf, and the communities that are supposed to benefit from the very decisions that are supposed to be made. I do know, however, and my only uniqueness is that I'm able to sit at a decision table of my own choice and my own making, and to hear of what's supposed to be happening, The downside for them is I said, well, I've actually just been there recently and I spoke to some people in the community and I spent an afternoon, and that's not the case. That means you become very unpopular by those who sadly don't want to engage. They're paid by the public purse, by our taxes, and it does not happen. A quick example, in Africa they have no bureaucracy, they have no grants, they have no policies as such. The community get on with it because they have to get on with it. And dare I say, I think we have an almost similar situation here. Nothing will change until, dare I say it, you embarrass them by demonstrating your skills, your qualities, your ability to do something and get something done that people are already saying can't be done. And when I first mooted this idea, I was being told it couldn't be done. And I'm sorry, I come from a culture and a journey that says that everything's possible when there's a collective will. I think there is a standoff at the moment. I think there have been so many promises made to this community that there is rightfully a very healthy cynicism. But I do believe, and in answer to your question, once the event is over, once all that has been presented has been documented and recorded, it is then when the real planning starts. It's then when I'm going to be looking at, well, the community will have been given its platform, what does it want to do next? Because you then have 2008, you then have the different things that you plug into or you challenge by way of what you want to see happen. We know there are facilities, we know there are programs, we know there are resources. But I have to say, my meeting this morning with the leader of the council, I actually came away very enthused. And don't think it's come out of a natural enthusiasm. They have a number of problems and challenges. And I think you help them and they help you. But on terms that are clear, transparent, that are clearly negotiable. That you're the people who are going to need to make. I think if you hadn't had the bad experiences you had, if I hadn't had mine, I still wouldn't be here. I think a number of people could have their own stories, and none more so than Dominique. She's here. She never planned to be here. But the festival has continued, if I may focus on the festival, because it will form part of that. Well, what happens next? The festivals where I've chaired a couple of workshops, and I've seen that multicultural citizenship represented, whether it be families, whether it be young people, just people who say we want to improve the city in which we live and we want it a more tolerant and vibrant city. There are plans to bring the Anthony Walker Festival into the centre of Liverpool. That is something that is being actively pursued, and I'm 70% down the way of a negotiation. But you always need a catalyst, something that reminds us. And certainly the festival will do that, because around that there are to be some themed discussions along the lines that you discussed. But at the same time you're supported by a number of people coming into the city. And there's nothing better than people asking the questions that normally would be considered too politically sensitive to touch. But there will be a definite legacy, because as you said, there are a lot of people below the radar. I'd like to think this would be the opportunity where they could come and stand and be counted. But interdependent. Why are you here?
Am I here?
I think it would be a...
I'm here. Like Jeff said, I'm the project manager of the Anthony Walker Foundation. We've been running for about almost 2 years now. What happened obviously with Anthony, he was killed in Highton, and just down to the core of his skin. And our family set up the foundation. And we work to promote racial harmony in the community through education, music and sport. One of our first events that we set up was the Anthony Walker. It was called the Celebration of Anthony, and incorporated sport, music, art, education, all things like we love. Now we're in our 3rd year, and we had our 3rd festival in the summer. Went really well. 3,000 kids from all around the city, basketball, football, all of the stuff going on. And what are we doing now? Why I'm here today is I met Jeff at a race hate conference, and he spoke, and I was just like, I need to meet Jeff. And then we got talking, and basically he said that we'd work together to build up the festival, build up the foundation, but also to work with other people as well. Because I'm one person, I will work with anyone who wants to help. I do a lot of work with child, and we do a couple of schools and stuff like that. and we do work. We want to work towards a greater good and bringing the community together. I'm not from Dingle, not from Toxteth, I'm from Highton. I've only just moved into the area now. I live on Northumberland Street, which is just over there. And I think the main reason of being here is to actually start something and not to have all these little pockets of people doing stuff. It's to have a rolling order of events that are going on throughout the year, so kids can't come up to me and say, this is good in the summer, but what are you doing in the winter? What can we do in all the other times? And that's why I'm here, because I want to create that, keep it rolling. But basically, we do the festival, then we do the school in between, the tour and line. I want to keep the momentum going. 2008 is Anthony's 21st birthday as well for me. And if he was here, you wouldn't, I'd be out, we'd probably have a party. It'd be like my 21st, flamboyant, and we'd go out. So I'm trying to keep that same theme for 2008 and make it bigger. And hopefully we can all work together to make it as big as possible. And then also for me to help at any other events that you have as well. And any way that we can work with each other. I'm welcome to it, because at the moment my organisation